Always such a joy to get a glimpse at the ways that people are out serving, the ways that women and men are answering the call. The challenge is that time limits us. And we had 6 stories, am I counting right? 6 stories just gives you a sliver at the ways that the diaconate of the LDA is impacting not only the communities that they live in, but our world. We have deaconesses and deacons that serve here in Chicago, like Claire. We have them serving in Northwest Indiana, all over the United States, and in various places around the world. The hardest thing is explaining to people what a deaconess or a deacon does, because it's not always tied to a job title. And in fact, in my job as co-director of education and formation, the greatest job in the world, which Diane told me as I was transitioning, and now I get to tell others, the hardest thing can be explaining to those that feel a sense of call, but don't know where it fits, exactly what it would mean at the end of the program. Because our program isn't just about getting a degree. It's not about just going to seminary and getting the classes done and coming out with the head knowledge you need to serve. That's a component. We require some academic courses to be taken. Some of our students take those at Valparaiso University. We have students at LSTC here in Chicago and at seminaries and colleges and online learning programs throughout the world. But there's more to that in becoming a deaconess or a deacon. There's more to being formed as the students are in process, and if we're honest, as we continue to be formed even after we get the big pin. We have components around spirituality and learning how it is that we interact with God. Where do we make sure our souls are being fed? How do we help in leadership of serving those around us and walking with them? We invite our deaconess and deacon students to do a variety of service experiences. Like Nancy shared, they have a chaplaincy experience that's required. Some serve at homeless shelters, some are in churches, others venture off to the prison. All exploring those various places where we are called to serve as that bridge between church and world. And then we have that other piece that sometimes is what draws people in to kind of finally say, I'm willing to answer that call. And that's community. For those times when I struggle to keep serving, those times where I start to beat myself up, it's usually my community that says that they know God is still working in me. God is still using me. It's my community that holds me accountable when I like to get comfortable in my own life, and my eyes and my ears and my heart is challenged by my sisters and brothers to pay attention to the world around me, to listen to those places that God is calling us to go into, to go to those places and sit with those that sometimes our society wants to forget. And somehow, as people walk as a student through these various components, they come out changed. They come out ready to say yes, to live a life of faith and action, and say yes to continuing to being formed, realizing the journey's not done yet. And I get to glimpse that transformation as it happens. It's pretty easy to go on Facebook or the internet, or even, let's be honest, sitting in the pews of our churches and hear stories about why our church is in despair. We need to be scared and sad and nervous, and yes, those emotions are true. But what I get to see is sometimes the radical doors that are being opened when we're forced to think about service in a new way. Ministry in new places. The world isn't going to stop changing. The church isn't going to stop having challenges. But what I truly believe with all my heart and soul and passion and what keeps me motivated every day is the diaconate is going to continue to be in that bridge that calls the church out and brings the world in and helps us to be a little bit more creative about where we might be going and where God might be calling us to serve. So thank you for being at this event, and for those of you that have been friends of the LDA for a long time, I was a student that was blessed by your scholarship support. I wouldn't have been able to do it without. And I get to sit and hear the dreams and passions and transformation of the students that are being called to serve now. And even hearing the twinklings of those that are dreaming about answering the call. And it's much easier to have that conversation when we talk about how the LDA strives to make the formation program affordable for all people, despite their socioeconomic state and background, because all people are called to serve. And so thank you for helping to make that possible.